The US military says it hit more than 80 targets in strikes against Iran, a day after multiple tankers were attacked while passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Three tankers were struck by projectiles in the strait, including one that caught fire off Oman, according to the British military. Iran's top joint military command has said that Iranian armed forces would deliver a crushing response. Let's talk about what's happened right after this. The US military says it hit more than 80 targets during its latest strikes on Iran, a day after several tankers were attacked while passing through the Strait of Hormuz. US Central Command confirmed that the strikes were an immediate response to Iran's latest attacks on commercial vessels transiting the strait. The military command said it struck more than 60 small boats of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to degrade Iran's ability to attack commercial shipping. CENTCOM had earlier posted that the strikes were to impose heavy costs for targeting and attacking commercial shipping crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway. Iran's demonstrated aggression was unwarranted, dangerous, and a clear violation of the ceasefire, it said. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said they targeted key US military sites in Bahrain and Kuwait on Wednesday local time and shot down a US MQ-9 drone attempting to interfere in the operation. NATO Security General Mark Rutte said the new attacks on Iran were absolutely necessary. When you have a ceasefire and Iran is basically violating the ceasefire, I think it is totally crucial that the US forcefully react, Mr. Rutte told reporters before a summit of NATO leaders in Ankara. Earlier, Iran's top joint military command, Qatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, condemned the new wave of US strikes as a blatant act of aggression. It threatened a crushing response and warned that Tehran would not allow US interference in the management of the straits. Iranian media reported explosions early Wednesday local time on Iran's main oil hub of Karg Island on Qasem Island, and in the southern port cities of Sirik and Bandar Abbas. No civilian deaths were reported, but several people were injured by shrapnel from an enemy projectile that hit a commercial pier in Sirik, according to an Iranian state TV reporter. The report said strikes also hit fishing piers in Sirik and in Bandar Abbas, where several fishing boats were set ablaze. A US official told Reuters that strikes targeted Iranian air defense systems, coastal civilian systems, surface-to-air missiles, anti-ship cruise missiles, and drone launch sites. Earlier, the Iranian Foreign Ministry said it would hold the US responsible for any consequences relating to the strikes, which it called a breach of memorandum of understanding signed by US President Donald Trump and Iran in June. The British military says 3 tankers were struck by projectiles in the Strait of Hormuz in the latest attacks targeting vessels moving through the fuel shipping waterway that is central to negotiations between the US and Iran for a permanent end to the war. Hours later, the US revoked a license that had authorized the sale of Iranian oil. The Treasury Department issued a 60-day license last month, waiving sanctions on Iranian oil as part of an interim agreement to end the fighting. Neither the US Treasury officials nor the Iranian mission to the United Nations responded to a request for comment from the Associated Press. The new assaults in the strait were the most in a single day since late April, according to UN International Maritime Organization figures. The fresh attacks threatened to choke off the flow of traffic in the strait just as countries hope to restore normal shipping practices and ease the global economic strain of the war. One tanker was traveling off the coast of Oman when it was hit and caught fire, the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations Centre said on Tuesday, local time. The tanker's left side engine room was stuck as the vessel exited the strait near the Omani-Emirati border, and a fire was sparked in the attack, the centre said. Iranian state television said the liquefied natural gas tanker, which it said was carrying gas from Oman, came under attack after ignoring warnings. The Iranian regime did not directly claim responsibility for the assault. The other two ships sustained some damage, but no one was injured, and both continued on their way, the UK Maritime Agency said. Tehran, which has repeatedly declared that its only approved route through the strait is safe, is suspected of attacking other ships that have used another route close to the Omani shore. Location details provided by the US agency will show all three attacks occurred off the coast of Oman or the neighboring United Arab Emirates, making it likely that the ships were using the route near Oman. Mahed Al-Ansari, a spokesperson for the Qatari Foreign Ministry, said the Qatari tanker Al-Rekayat was targeted in an unacceptable attack on international navigation and global energy security. He called it a serious and explicit violation of international law. In a post on X, he said Qatar holds Iran fully legally responsible for the attack. It is the first time an LNG ship from Qatar, a mediator in talks between the US and Iran, has been struck since the start of the Iran war on February 28. Nakilat, also known as Qatar Gas Transport Company Limited, which owns the Al-Rakaya tanker, did not respond to requests for comment, nor did Qatar Energy or Qatar's International Media Office. The US Navy-led Joint Maritime Information Center raised the threat level in the strait to severe from substantial following the attacks, citing deliberate hostile action likely under current conditions. Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry claimed the Saudi-flagged Wadian supertanker was one of the other two vessels targeted in the strikes. The escalation marked the first time the threat level had been set at that severe status since June 15. The recent confirmed incidents highlight that the threat environment remains heightened and warrants extreme vigilance, JMIC said. The center also said mariners should expect continued naval presence, congestion against transit routes, and more intense hailing by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The US is eager to press ahead with negotiations with Iran aimed at fully reopening the strait, rolling back Tehran's disputed nuclear program and reaching a permanent end to the war. An interim deal between two nations has already been strained. Previous attacks in the strait sparked retaliatory strikes by the US. Iran then responded by striking other Gulf Arab states. In peacetime, a fifth of all traded oil and natural gas passed through the channel. The Treasury license issued by the US authorized the production, delivery, and sale of Iranian oil until August 21. US Vice President J.D. Vance said at the time that lengthy talks with senior Iranian officials in Switzerland created a good foundation for a successful final deal to end the war. Iran's Joint Military Command warned last Thursday that any US interference in the strait would be met with a rapid and decisive reaction. But the Joint Maritime Information Center, a multinational body overseen by the US Navy, told shippers on Monday local time that the route around Oman has been expanded and remains available for all traffic. Shipbounds for the north via the Iranian route must register with Tehran. Those going southward with Oman and the US. Speaking on Monday at the White House, Mr. Trump warned Iran that it would need to make a deal or we're going to finish the job. I'd rather make a deal because I don't want to affect 91 million people, he said. We can knock down their bridges in 1 hour. We can knock out their energy supply. The US and many Gulf Arab states say they will not agree to Iran charging for passage through the strait. An effort by Oman and the UN to launch a new route near Oman's shore earlier sparked attacks across the Middle East. The data firm Kepler reported that over the past weekend, at least 108 ships crossed through the strait using various routes. Meanwhile, talks between Iran and the US appeared to remain on hold until after the burial of Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed at the beginning of the war. Mourners at his funeral called for the death of US President Donald Trump. Authorities flew Khamenei's body to the Shiite seminary city of Qom, where mourners honored him on Tuesday, local time.